Welcome to Uncorked and Uncut, Email Marketing Friends at Home, a vodcast with a new guest each episode, and your hosts, Kath Pay and Ryan Phelan.
Well, welcome everyone to Uncorked and Uncut, and today we have a very special guest with us, Samantha Iodice. And I'm really hoping I got your name right, because that's what I've been calling you for years and years and years.
You did really well.
I remember our very first time that we met, and we were doing that panel together, remember?
Yes.
And, yes, and that was where I went, okay, that's it. And I've retained it ever since. So we're going to have a fun time talking with Samantha today.
Is that how you pronounce your name?
Okay, so here's how it goes.
Okay.
There's two ways to properly say it in Italian. It depends on your dialect and the region you're from in Italy. I've learned all this in the last few years because my father had no idea. So it's exactly what Kath just did, Iodice, or Iodice. I use Iodice just because I'm used to it. That's what my family kind of changed it to. But when my dad was young, they went by Iodice. My grandpa changed it. Like someone told him it was easier to say for Americans. It's not easier for anyone to say ever unless you're Italian. No one has any idea what it is. So
here's a sad thing.
I did.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that if anyone's seen anytime I speak now, when I explain what my name is, I use Yoda from Star Wars because I'm a geek, and you see the background, and I'll show you some stuff. And then I use Che Guevara. So I say I'm a Jedi Master and an Argentinian rebel. And then people don't forget it. You have a visual and an auditory, so.
My good Lord.
I remember going to this presentation, there was a Yoda girl there, something like that, yeah.
Pretty much, yep, that would be me.
Yeah.
And so that's the theme of our chat today, is we didn't know Sam was this weird. So got her Star Wars mug.
I do. And actually it's Darth.
There we go.
Join us or die. Because I mean, seriously, he was serious.
He was serious. So we will get into all this, the opinions on the Star Wars movies, but Samantha, tell us where you are, where you're working. Give us an overview of you, right? Because I think there may be quite a few people that are newbies that don't know who you are. I think all the old timers know who you are, and you've been around for a long time, have a great reputation in this space. And so give us a 30-second who you are without the Star Wars.
Who am I?
Yes.
Without the Star Wars stuff. No, I'll leave that out. So let's see, I'm in Plano, Texas, so Dallas area. And I've been here for almost 2 years. I'm from Chicago, actually Northern Illinois. I grew up corn-fed in a small town, very country, near Wisconsin. So I can tell you all things about Wisconsin and Illinois. I've lived several different places, but I really actually love it here in Texas, which I didn't expect. Yeah. Love it. Yeah, oh gosh, I love it. So I'm hoping I can keep staying here and not move. I'm done with moving. I've done a lot of moving in the last 7-8 years, and I'm done with that. So right now I'm at Brierley, formerly Brierley and Partners. We dropped the Partners because the Partners are now gone. Brierley is historically a loyalty marketing services platform SaaS company. We have our own platform for loyalty programs. It's enterprise level. We are creating a more adaptable, flexible, smaller scale version that can fit all different sizes of companies. And my job and what they brought me in for is to create the digital agency arm of the business, really. So what I'm doing is building out a team that existed to service our loyalty clients, but now we can service anything. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty exciting. It's a really exciting time. So in the next month or so, we'll have some updated website pages explaining everything that we're doing now. And I have a new brand name underneath the Brierley umbrella because our platform product's called Loyalty on Demand, and we'll be announcing Engagement on Demand which will be the digital part of the business, which will be super fun. Let's see, what else do you need to know? I've been doing this for a long time. It's like 15 years-ish. A long time.
Yeah, you've been on the vendor side, ESPs. You've been on the agency side primarily.
Yes.
Why have you not moved to the client side? I want to hear.
Because I started there.
Well, yeah. So tell us about that.
So my email life started at Discover Card. Feels forever ago now. My actually marketing life really started at Discover Card. I did some marketing prior to that, but really I started in risk management of all things at a credit card. And I was an assistant. I was still an admin. I hadn't finished my bachelor's degree. I hadn't done any of that. I had this awesome boss who I actually just talked to last week, which was great. She's who I consider my strongest mentor in my adult life, really. And that was just like in 2005. So she encouraged me to finish my degree, which I did. And the minute I started finishing my degree, though, I was accepted into marketing, and they moved me into there. And so I started learning all the things. And that's where I started my email life. Well, brand side, depending on where you work, if you work maybe for a startup, you have a little more flexibility or a little more opportunity to do a lot of different things. But when you're at a large brand, it can be difficult to play with stuff. They're not, you have to, one, it takes a long time for them to trust that you know what you're doing. But two, it's just, there's a lot of levels of approval. There's all the things, so that's why, I'd have to have a lot of promises before I went to the brand side. Although I do like the idea of focusing on a single brand because I think you can do a lot of different things that way. But that's primarily why I'm not there, because I get bored waiting for people to say it's okay for me to do stuff. I'm more of I just do it. I'll ask for forgiveness. And I really don't care if you forgive me. So that's part of the problem. Because I'll be like, I was right, so it doesn't matter.
I've had that problem before too.
Yeah, that's what I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a lot of us in email, actually. We get to a point where we're just like, you know what? No, I'm just going to do this thing, and I'm going to prove to you that I'm right and I understand what's happening here. And then when I prove it to you, if you still don't think I can do what you need to do, then maybe we need to have a conversation about that. And I think that's most of our attitudes, is because we just, especially early on, you get so frustrated by not being able to do stuff or being beholden to whatever rules and regulations of the company. And then just one day I'm just like, no, that's all right. I'm good.
So that much feeds into what we talk about. We've talked about a couple of times, and that is sort of like these principles, these rules, these, sort of that we feel beholden to, or our companies feel beholden to, and where they're going, no, I want to question that. I don't believe in the validity of that. I need to be able to show you that that's actually wrong, even though you're thinking it's the safe way. It's wrong.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And I think that comes along with experience and sort of confidence in the industry.
I agree.
You've done and everything like that. Yeah.
I think it's also, I've been in this 20 years. Kath's been in this 20 years plus. Sam, you've been in it for at least almost 20, haven't you? 15, 20?
15-ish, yeah.
15-ish. I think after seeing the maturity of this industry over time, I think all the people that have been in this for so long are just tired of the same crap. And it's like, I have seen this so much, I just can't stand your brand of stupid. And it's not stupid, right? But your brand of going in the wrong direction. And I'm just going to put you on the right direction, and you'll thank me later. But I just don't have time for your crazy.
Yes.
Exactly. I think that's exactly right. I was trying to explain to someone recently, one of my favorite things to do ever, and I think I finally get to do a little bit of this where I'm at now, is I know I'm right, and I'm going to prove it to you. So if I lose this test, you don't have to pay. But if I win it, you have to pay. And I've never lost. I've always gotten paid. And they're always like, okay, let's do everything.
Right.
And it's like, so we had to go through all this for you to understand, and that's fine. I don't mind. That's fine. I'll put it on the line. I don't care. Excuse me. Because I think also too, when you're willing to put money on the line and a client especially sees that, like it's not just their money that they could lose, it's I could lose money. So therefore, okay, I got nothing to lose. So I think that's my favorite way is to prove a theory, is to just do that.
And I think it's also because, I mean, obviously we care because we've been in the industry for so long, right? And so we care not just about the industry and the channel and everything, but we care about the results, you know, like we're all literally
very much so
about what it is that we do. And so that's why we tend to be questioning, because we are always wanting to be improving and optimizing and you know, and the rest of it. So
exactly.
So we will get to work in a little bit, but first I want to understand what the hell is all around you.
Do we need to go on a tour?
Yes, let's go on a tour.
Sure.
All right. So I do a lot of different things. Let's see. How am I going to do this so you can see? We're going to start with my earliest influences. Can you see that?
That is Star Trek. Yes, that's Spock,
right.
Uhura, the Green Girl, and I would assume
the Green Girl is my favorite.
The Green Girl is awesome.
I love the Green Girl. So when the first JJ movie came out of Star Trek, I took my mom for Mother's Day. I sat down. I looked at my mother and I said, if the Green Girl isn't in this film, we're out of here. And boom, within like the first 15 minutes, she shows up and I'm like, yes. And like, you can tell every Trekkie in the audience because they're like, woo!
Yeah.
So I like doing nerdy things like that. Then also I'm a Whovian. So Doctor Who.
Well, English
there's a whole, that's right. Yes, I started with Tom Baker back there. Number 4. Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Tom was awesome.
Oh, he was great. I still committed to making a scarf. And then, of course, I have some mishmash down there, which will, you know, we can come back. But there's a lot of Harry Potter going on, some Funkos, a little Marvel. My bookcase is kind of a disaster. I need a larger one. So I'm not going to kind of go through too much of that. There's a lot of pictures and stuff. My beautiful nieces. Here, you can see my nieces, though.
They're
pretty awesome.
They just, you just went up to Chicago to see them for something, right? Was that right?
Yes, they graduated high school. They were homeschooled, so we could have the graduation whenever we wanted. And they actually had a graduation protest party. So it wasn't a party. They protested because then we could group. It was a joke and it was fun. So they felt rebellious too.
So I met one of your nieces when you were in London.
Yes, you did. You met Lauren. Yeah. Catherine is the younger one. And so you met her in London because she was turning 18. And for their 18th birthdays, I'm taking them places. So I get to be fully anti-MAME now, which is awesome. So we had an awesome trip. It was fantastic. She still talks about it constantly. Then the younger one, she picked Italy. Well, her birthday's in February. So we're probably not going next spring to Italy, considering the state of the universe. So I'm trying to find hopefully, I'm going to wait a few months before I plan anything. Hopefully I can find some island that'll let us in that has a drinking age of 18, because that's really half of the trip, is they get to explore and have some fun and be silly in ways that they can at home.
Right.
So we got some Star Wars now. This is all Star Wars, this entire thing. I just noticed I lost a light. I got a lot of Funkos, probably a little too much. I just thought they were adorable, and that's why I started it. But I also do Lego. You'll see more of those in a moment. And my earliest influence was probably Linda Carter and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So I have a Wonder Woman thing. I have the Bombshell Funkos, the whole set down there. One fell over, didn't notice it. Yeah. So a little lot going on. I have a painting in the works. So I paint. There's one up there.
Nice.
Yes. Show
Wait,
me.
oops. There we go. Yeah. I have paintings all over. I'll show you a couple more.
Okay.
So I painted this with the logos because I'm really ridiculous. I picked this up for like $20. And I just thought it was interesting. It was a neat little cabinet, and I needed some place to put games because I love to do like board games
right?
Deadpool Monopoly, by the way, is probably the best Monopoly I've ever played.
Is it?
Just
Okay.
saying. Hilarious. It's hilarious. It's very grown up.
Yeah.
But here are my most recent Legos. And let's see, I think, yeah, there we go.
You got some Yoda going on. You got a, oh
yeah.
God, look at that.
Yeah, I got Boba Fett. I got BB-8, the Porg. I got Dio from Mandalorian. I have my London bus. Yeah. And then my prints, these are lithographs of the Bombshell prints.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman is in all of them except the Catwoman one. See, it's hard to see if I can show you all of them. There we go. Yeah. So I don't know. I just the strong woman symbol from my youth. You know, I'm 48. I've been around, but in the 70s you had Wonder Woman and Princess Leia.
Yeah.
And then in the late 70s, you started getting like the rock stars that were amazing, like Pat Benatar, and you had Lita Ford. And then I was like very heavily musically influenced. So I always like these powerhouse chicks. So I'll give you another painting or two because we're in the room with these.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. Thank you. I do lots of different stuff.
I love your color.
There we go. I was bending the wrong way. There we go.
Really
thank you. I love color, so I use a lot of color. So that's usually what people notice the most is the color. Yeah, it's just fun.
So, okay, so I'm going to ask you the same question that we asked Kate Creamer. How do you find time to do everything? You know?
I think it's that painting that we walked by that's in the process.
Yes.
I started that 3 weeks ago. It might not even be done for another month. Because I'll do some things, but then either it has to dry or I'm done with it. Like, you can only do so much, right?
Yeah.
So some things just happen over a long period of time. Other things, Legos, I'm like, I've got a few hours to kill and I really want to put this together. So I'll just sit down and put it together. Mm-hmm. So it kind of just depends what it is. But I think it's just, I blow off the things I should be doing to do the fun things. You know, like I cleaned out the closets, but I still have a pile of stuff in a guest room that I have to sort through. So it's things like that kind of get thrown to the wayside until I just can't stand it anymore. But that's most of it. And probably I'm a little more nocturnal, and I still sleep plenty, but I don't know. That's a very interesting question, actually. A lot of it was born out of like stress release, right? So I started painting, like almost 30 years ago. No, that's too far, 25-ish. And it was one of the first things I did. Like, I'm going to go back a little bit to my childhood a little bit. I was a little bit afraid to try things because I was afraid of criticism. Mm-hmm. Let's just say my mother, you know, mothers, right? So I was afraid of criticism, and I was a very introverted child, believe it or not. Most people don't believe that. I still have, like, part of me still a little bit introverted, so this working from home thing's kind of nice. But the other part is obviously very extroverted. That's the part you guys usually see. Mm-hmm. And I just, you know, I've always wanted to learn how to paint, and it was like, I mean, good God, I think it was like 1996, if I remember right. I just said, you know, I'm going to take a class in painting. And I did. And I ended up having like this really amazing artist who he was Native American. He came from New Mexico, and he was teaching in Chicago. But he came up to my little corner of the universe in Illinois to teach this class once a week. And so amazing artist, totally out of luck. And, you know, he basically taught you how to do everything from the beginning. It was very organic. Like, you had to stretch your own canvas. You had to learn how to prime it, how to do everything, how to make it alive, and then what you do to actually paint it. And we had to paint all different sorts of techniques and everything. But what we actually painted was never given to us. We always had to make that decision on our own. You know how some classes, they have the fruit bowl, And I'm like, I can't go into a class that has a fruit bowl. I just can't do it. That's
Right.
not me. I know it's not me. And I mean, you can see from the paintings you saw, there's zero realism in anything. So, yeah, I knew that wasn't me. And I think that's why I was always a little bit afraid of how to use paint. And then he just kind of taught you not to have fear.
Yeah.
And so I've taken that into a lot of different things, but the painting kind of reminds me of that. It kind of takes me out of your regular frame of mind.
Yeah.
So I stop thinking about the everyday and I start thinking about what I need this to be. And it's a very emotional process. So all paintings, they carry a feeling, some sort of sensation. And sometimes I don't know what it is until it's done.
Right.
Actually, most of the time I don't. I'll just be going towards something and I'll know when it's done and that's it.
Wow.
So
what's the medium? Is it oil? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
What's the
Is
medium?
it oil?
Yeah, oil.
I use acrylics.
Okay.
So I started in oils and I actually love oil. I think it's much richer in many ways, but now new acrylics, you can do some additives and stuff that make them almost as good as an oil. Not quite, but they're easier to clean up. So years in rentals and apartments, it was easier to have acrylic. So I switched over.
Right.
And I've kind of stayed there.
Yeah. So it sounds like on your hobbies and stuff, you make the time, you don't find it.
Yes.
Is that accurate? And I think that in a lot of people that Kath and I talk to, and a lot of our friends and even ourselves, a lot of people always look at work-life balance as something that just arrives, right? It's just supposed to be.
No, you have to make it.
Yeah, you have to make it. You can't find the time. You have to make the time because you know your employer isn't going to tell you to do it. Most employers
exactly.
tell you to do it.
Well, they'll tell you to do it. But
they'll tell you to do it, but then they'll tell you at the same time you have a deadline at 7 o'clock on a Friday, and it's like, well,
exactly.
Well,
I spent a lot of time. Oh, sorry. On that note, though, I had a position. I'll leave the company out of it. It was a vendor, and I worked there for almost 4 years, I think. But I worked 60-hour weeks was a light week. So, I mean, I was working a lot and I kind of loved it, but it was a lot. It was a little too much. And when I was done with that job, I was actually really excited that I was because I felt relieved. I didn't realize how much time I was really devoting to it. And I started to realize that I can't do that. You know, you lose a sense of self, you lose the things that are important in your life, and you have to take time to not be there. You have to be present in your own place, in your own world, in your own brain. And so I basically vowed to never do that again. So I'm very conscious of that.
I think 3 jobs ago, while you were talking, I was trying to think 3 jobs ago, I got, so the 4th job ago, I got out of just a toxic place, right? Just and same thing. 80 hours was the minimum, you know, and it was insane. Holidays were shit. All these things were just junk. I mean, I can remember in the middle of Thanksgiving having to run to the corporate office to be in a stand-up that was going to last 25 minutes, but I had to be there because I was the leader of the email group and you know, it was Black Friday and blah, 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 blah. And I got out of that job and I decided that was it. I was not going to do that anymore. And I don't think this is for everybody because I think if you're at a lower level, it's harder to do and you have to earn your reputation. But at the level that I was at, I vowed on the next job, I came into it and I said, listen, here, I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me. So you are looking for my talents, but here's my demands, right? I'm going to be done at 6 or at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I am going to start working at 5:30. I am going to, you know, I'm not going to work on the weekends. If I take a conference call on a Sunday, somebody better be dying or dead. You know, it's one of those things. And I said, you know, as soon as 5 o'clock hits, I'm not looking at email. I'm not responding to stuff. If it's urgent, you call me, but it better be. And so I put all these rules in place. And I wondered when I started on my own if I could keep those same rules. And what I found was, and I'd like to hear what you guys have found, because, you know, Samantha, you've been on your own, you've had your own shop. When I got on my own, my clients respected that as well, because I laid it out in the SOW ahead of time. And I told people, hey, listen, I don't do meetings after 3. I don't, if I have to work on the weekend, I charge you double, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me a fair amount of freedom to create that balance and to demand it, because it was my time, not theirs.
Exactly.
Right?
No, I 100% agree.
And that probably
Go ahead,
is what
Kath.
gives you all the time too, Ryan, to be doing your passion, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're in the settings today, which is kind of like reflecting our passions, and yours is cooking.
Mine is cooking. So let's go into each of our. So we just went over Samantha's. This is a great transition, by the way. That was glorious.
You didn't pay for that segue.
No, that was you couldn't add that in a video editor. So let's go over. So I have 3 passions. One is technology and gadgets. As Kath well knows, that this whole series has just been an excuse for me to buy more gadgets.
Oh, I need those.
Yes.
Oh, I need that.
I need that. Oh, you want to broadcast from the top of the Eiffel Tower? I need a helicopter. So it's technology, it's golf, and it's cooking. And so today I have a number of things. This is my cookbook that I was showing off earlier. It's a 5-inch binder that actually I need to expand to 6 inches, because it's absolutely packed full of recipes, and I think I've cooked probably 95% of those, 96, something like that.
Crazy.
I've got my sous vide machine, which is immersion cooking. So it's temperature. This unit controls the temperature of the water within 1/10 of a degree. And so you put it in these bags and seal it up, and then put it in the water for a period of time, and it cooks it. So right now I have some thick cut smoked bacon in there that'll be in for 8 hours. And so tonight around dinner, I'll take it out and pan sear it, and it'll be phenomenal. And I've got all the gadgets that go with it. These are little ping pong balls that go on top of the water so it doesn't evaporate. And I've got the rack that you put in if you have multiple things. And then I've got a smoker dome for smoking things inside. And I got a little smoker device. Outside, I've got a smoker and a grill. And I've got, you can't see it, but I've got I've got 2 sous vide units. So this is the other sous vide unit that I've got going on. And I'm cleaning that one because I'm doing a huge recipe this weekend that cooks for 48 hours.
Wow.
Ooh.
You have to kind of prep it.
So when am I coming over?
To be ready like Sunday afternoon. So
yeah, you know what's funny, Kath, is we're about, 45 minutes from each other?
No, and you're 20 minutes away in Plano.
No.
Because I'm in Rockwall.
Oh, that's right, because you moved.
I'm in Rockwall.
Or wait, you haven't moved yet. You're in Rockwall. Is it 25 minutes?
Yeah.
I suppose it is, actually.
I get on George Bush, and I'm on my way now. I got to reline this.
Yeah, I'm real close to George Bush, so yeah. Yeah, you know, it's funny. We tried to get together early on because Aisling moved here too. She lives up in McKinney. And I was telling Ryan the other day that my first boss here was kind of a piece of work. I didn't get away. She, like, no matter how much I tried to have my work-life balance, I either had to hide from her or run away. So nothing ever seemed to work out right. But now we have COVID. So post-COVID.
Yes, post-COVID, we're going to do something. I'm going to fix a dinner. Oh, by the way, this is my blowtorch that I use on food when I need to sit.
You just have to promise that you don't use the blowtorch until I'm there.
Oh, no, totally.
Like if you make something that requires it. I need to see the fire.
By the time you're here, I'll have the sous vide gun, which is a flamethrower, which my wife and mother-in-law are super excited about. And I say that with a sarcasm bracket. But
I'm super excited though, just like you are.
Yes. So Kath, why are you outside?
Well, yeah, I'm just outside because I'm an Aussie, and so I'm an outdoors person. I like being outside. And I have just always enjoyed gardening. The last couple of years since I had my house renovated, the garden has been a bit neglected because during the building and everything like that, was kind of like they trashed it basically. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, it's finally been sort of brought up to, well, it's not brought up to scratch. It's not yet perfect.
right?
Give me probably another 4 weeks, and I'll take you for a walk through the garden.
I can't believe it. I mean, you're in London. I mean, that is kind of like prime real estate to have that big of a garden in a house.
I'm so lucky. I mean, so you can see there's just green behind me. So the way it works is I've got my doors here, right? So the house doors. Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually sitting inside at the moment for the internet access. And then I've got a patio, then stairs, and then the rest of the lawn and the garden is flat. And then right butting up against that is a river. It's really, really cute. So in England, they call it a river.
Aww.
It's called the Quaggy, so Quagggy, Quaggy River. In Australia, we'd call it a creek, but it's a river.
We call it a creek here too.
We call it, in Iowa, we called it a creek.
Yeah.
Crick. C-R-I-C-K.
It was a crick.
Oh,
not
there
a creek.
You go. It was a crick.
The city people called it a creek. We called it a crick.
So yes, I've got a little river behind me, and then behind that, is a park. A lovely, lovely park, and I've got the children's playing with things, which is why you can hear children. So yeah, absolutely. So I've got no neighbors behind me, and so that's why you can see trees everywhere, and you would not know that you're in London,
Yeah.
No, it looks magical, because when we first started and you were back in the garden,
yes.
I was like, holy crap, where does she live? Because that can't possibly be in London, because it was so much room.
I know,
and gorgeous, and I love it.
The park.
Oh my gosh. So, let's ask some geeky questions. So, of the Star Wars movies, which was your favorite and least favorite?
Least favorites would be the prequels, which I would try to watch and never finished because they were so bad. I just hate them. And so I could never, yeah, they were terrible. But the originals, the first three, which I think of as the first three, which were really 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6.
Those are my favorite just because that's what I grew up with. I mean, I was 6 years old, I think, when the first one came out. Mm-hmm. I remember being in the theater with my brother and his best friend, who lives in Tyler, Texas. So I saw him last year. And I remember the three of us sitting there together, like my mother is behind us, watching the movie, just enthralled with every single second. And my brother and I were obsessed with Star Wars together forever. And so those would be my favorite. The new ones, I've enjoyed all of them. So I'm unique in my nerddom in certain ways. So when I like something, as long as someone's paying homage to it and being respectful of the tradition of it, I can let things go. I'm not tied to certain intricacies, right? And I think all of the last 3 movies have stood their own in their own ways and had their own purposes that were fluid. So, I really loved seeing Mark Hamill come back in that role, because he'd been playing some crazy ass characters before that. Like he played the Joker in something, one of the TV series, and a whole bunch of other things. And just he's having this great second career wave, and I think that's awesome because he's a pretty cool dude. Yeah, he's a nice guy, which you like to see that kind of stuff happen. Yeah. But when oh my gosh, Carrie Fisher, when she passed away. I mean, it was a tearful moment. She had been with me my entire life. Yeah. That I can remember. So it was a very hard thing. And then when she was it the last movie or the one right before it?
No, the last one did the homage to it.
Yes.
Yeah, they paid homage to it, but the one previous, she had already passed away, but they had filmed it.
Yes.
So she was in it. Yeah, and it was like, it was all mushy. So that's how I look at the movies. Same with the Star Trek movies. As long as they're respectful of the original tradition of it, they're paying homage in some certain way. And J.J. Abrams is extremely good at that because he did Star Wars movies and Star Trek movies. And in his versions, he's always been very specifically there for fans. Yeah. And even though he might do something different, he makes sure that he stays true to a lot of the very important things, which I thought was great.
Mandalorian, good or bad?
Oh, fantastic.
I know, it was awesome.
Oh my God, it's so good. And I cannot wait for season 2. I'm so glad they filmed it before COVID. And Boba Fett, I think, is making an appearance. Is it Boba Fett?
I have read.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Boba Fett is what I've read.
So I'm very excited about that. And then the child Lego is coming out.
Oh,
like
really?
I got an email saying I'm supposed to get it soon. I'm very excited.
Lord.
And there is talk of an Obi-Wan show, Obi-Wan Kenobi, with what's his face?
What's his name? Ethan.
What's his name? Wait, no.
Alan McGregor, something like that. Something McGregor.
Yes. Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor.
I can't forget Ewan McGregor. Yeah, Ewan McGregor. So sorry, Ewan.
Yeah.
So
I saw you perfectly.
I totally get why you and Jonathan, my son Jonathan, get along so well.
Yes, we may have some shared interests.
Yes, indeed. Okay.
You mentioned COVID. What is your experience of COVID is probably vastly different than mine, even though we're only 20, 25 minutes away, because you are in Plano, which is one political area, heavily Democrat.
Yep.
And I am in a little town called Rockwall, in a county of Rockwall, which is bright red.
Super blazing red, yes.
Super blazing red, right?
Yeah.
So what's your experience, beyond that, what's your experience of COVID been, both work and personally, the good and the bad?
I think what's interesting with Plano is there's still a bit of a dichotomy between the red and the blue. It is definitely leaning more blue with the influx of Californians and Toyota and things like that happening around this area. Right. But they haven't been nearly as strict as like Dallas County. So Dallas, everyone up here has been waiting to see what they do, and then they talk about it. So I can't even remember if they formalized if you're required to wear masks or is up to each business when you go in.
It's up to the business.
Yeah, I think it's up to the business, but most people are doing it. And if I go inside a place, I'm going to be respectful regardless of whatever my opinion is about a mask. I don't really care. I care what other people feel.
Yes.
Not what they think, but what they feel. And I know, everyone has a different opinion and feeling about it. So, if I'm outside, no, I'm not wearing a mask. We're outside. There's wind, there's air. Don't be ridiculous. Right. And I'm not like hovering over anyone. But, in the airport, I flew 2 weeks ago. It was actually great, which was surprising. I didn't know what to expect. But you do have to wear your mask throughout the entire airport. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Everyone was really respectful. You know how usually you're running, hustling, bustling. Someone always runs into you. None of that happened at all. Getting on the plane, boarding wasn't a cluster like it usually is. It was actually delightful. So those kind of things have been really positive, and work has been actually quite fantastic. So my company historically is not a work from home company. They're a little bit old school in that thinking outside of my team. Like I have people that always work from home, or at least most of the time.
Right.
And then I have an employee in London. So I have people all over the place. And it's been great for him to work from home because obviously, those train passes are like $500 to $1,000 a month. So he's saving a fortune. But it's, we're digital marketers. We don't need to be in a physical space to do what we need to do or to even communicate because we're used to communicating this way. So I don't think it's as big a transition for people like us or my team. I think for my company, they've seen a whole new light. And I would like to see that. I'd like to hope that they're going to continue being this open. And frankly, I honestly, truly believe that a lot of businesses should reduce their space. It's like, why do we need that much space now? Let's continue working from home. It's cost efficient for everyone. It's convenient for people. And as long as there's a place for us to meet when we need to meet, that's fine.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And our CEO has been extremely, really, really thoughtful about everything. His opinion is, you know, there's no point in going to the office if everyone can't be there and they can't be in meeting rooms.
Yeah.
So, you know, right now, no one can actually meet in the meeting room. So what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
So until that happens, you know, we're probably not going to. I'll be surprised if we go back for the new year, especially considering what's happening in Texas right now.
I don't think so in Texas. The clients that I have, we have a few clients out in the LA area, Orange County, and one of them just bought like a year ago a brand new. I mean, they moved into a brand new building, built out this entire floor, put millions of dollars into it, and then COVID hit and sent everybody home. And in talking to them, they are not opening before the end of the year in OC. And I don't think Texas is. I would be surprised if we see anything before February.
I agree. Yeah, right now we are definitely through September, confirmed, staying from home. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think anything's going to really change. And we also did move into this really fancy booth. We're right by, oh my gosh, why did it just go out of my head? The Cowboys place where they work, the corporate building.
Yeah.
The Star. We're right by the Star. So we see like the team training and stuff like that. The very expensive cars.
Yeah.
I've seen more Lamborghinis, Ferraris. There's another really popular one right now. It's ridiculous, and it's a beautiful building. It's really fantastic. But we did just move into it a year ago. Our anniversary was right after this started. We weren't even in the building for our year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Darn.
So we've got oh, sorry.
I was thinking about this morning on this topic, that I think one of the reasons I got out is working for myself and having my own consultancy was I was not very good at wrangling myself when necessary and focusing. And like, I kind of need the pressure of knowing that someone else needs me to do these things. Otherwise I will just go off and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right. But I think what this has taught me is I actually could do that. I think I could do it now because it's about, one, I'm the boss of the team and I'm still getting stuff done, but I need to take that different attitude. And I think previously I just didn't understand that as much.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me thinking ahead, you know, where do I want to go in the future? And that's becoming another thought, which I didn't think would. So that's interesting.
Well, that kind of feeds into this. So we've got time for one last question. And the question I wanted to ask you here is, you mentioned beforehand that you absolutely adore where you are now, right? And I know one of the reasons for that is you have a pool.
I do.
Yeah.
Jealous.
I tell everyone, if you move to Texas, get a pool, then you can survive.
Yes.
Well,
it is way too hot.
I'm coming to visit Ryan, so I'm going to be coming to visit you too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But what is it? So, you know, you're talking about all your passions and everything. So you've got all your geeky stuff and that's all inside, and you've got your games and that's inside, and you've got your painting and that's inside, your pool's obviously outside, just saying. But what is it about where you're living that you love so much? Is it purely just the weather? Is it the people? Is it the facilities? What is it that you know?
It's a couple things, but the primary things are weather and people. So the winter, being from Chicago, winter was hard. Winter was a long time of the year. Yeah. It was the longest part of the year. People weren't very nice either. They don't like winter. You know, no one's happy about it. Yeah. So when spring would come, I always tell people, if you're going to visit Chicago, you visit early mid-June to the 4th of July is the peak time. Everyone has spring fever. Everyone's being super nice to each other, and everyone's excited to be outdoors.
Yeah.
But here, I can be outdoors almost the entire year. And even when it's super hot, I'm in the pool, or I'm doing something and then getting in the pool because you sweat in like 3 seconds here. But in the winter, you know, what was it? Do we have maybe 2 or 3 days that went below freezing last winter?
Yeah,
that was
it wasn't
it.
even
There
that.
was
I mean,
like
it was
this
nothing.
dusting of snow that was gone before noon, and it went up to like 50 that day. So I have zero complaints about temperature in the winter.
Yeah.
But people, they're just really, you know. Now, Ryan, you being from Iowa, I'm from Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa's, I think, more Midwest than Illinois. I think Illinois just kind of gloms onto that title, but really, they're not part of the Midwest, in my opinion. But Midwesterners, depending on where you are, like I love Iowa. I love Iowans. I've never met an Iowan that I didn't love. Like, just really wholesome, cool, nice people who care about other people. And that's always been my experience. But I was in Kansas for a job, and it was interesting because I was on the border of Kansas and Missouri.
Yeah.
So I'm not dogging on anyone. I want to, you know, make sure I say that openly. I loved actually living in Kansas. I have great friends, but it was interesting because I think the people that seemed the most Midwestern and thoughtful and kind really weren't. They were kind of like that backstabbery type. And I'm like, that's weird. I didn't expect that. But I come to Texas and everyone's really nice.
Everybody is.
They're real nice, but you piss them off, you're going to know it. So there's a lot of honesty about it. Right? Isn't it? That's the big difference, is no one's hiding their anger. They might not say it as overtly as like someone like me, because I will pretty much speak my mind all the time. What? I know, shock.
Shocker.
But the truth will come out, and I like that. I'm extremely focused on honesty and being truthful. You know, sometimes you can't always be blunt. You have to sometimes be nice about it, or how you choose your words is very important. But I don't lie, or I try not to, especially about my feelings. If I don't like a situation, I will have a conversation about it. If I'm not, you know, from anything from someone's performance on my team to superiors, executives, I'll be like, I don't really like how you're thinking about that. Let me explain why, and we'll go through it. You know, because I think that's important. And in relationships, you know, I would say most personal relationships end because someone's not being truthful about something. Mm-hmm. And whether it's they're not being honest about their feelings or whatever, it's usually something like that at some point.
Yeah.
So honesty is a big thing for me. So that's what I love about here.
Nice.
Yeah.
A lot.
Nice.
And I will say that even though I'm in a bright red county, personally, the people out here, phenomenal. I've only run into a handful of just crazy people, but I run into a handful of crazy people when I lived in Chicago, San Diego, San Francisco, you know, but I will say some of the people out here, most of the people out here that I've met, some of the nicest people in the world. And, you know, as long as they're not on Nextdoor, they're fine. You know,
that's funny. So, you know, it's funny because I come from Chicago. Okay. Predominantly, that's where I didn't live in the city, but I always lived around it. Right. And you don't know your neighbors, even though you're on top of people, not as much as New York, but you're on top of people. You don't know your neighbors the same way. Like, I've never really known neighbors. And I remember when my brother moved to his house when he got married 20 years ago, actually, they were friends instantly with their neighbors. And I'm like, what is this phenomenon? You know, other than my family home where we knew our neighbors and grew up together and all that stuff. So moving here, I actually know who lives on each side of me. We don't hang out per se, but if you know, I need a package taken off the step because I'm traveling or something like that, I know I can call my neighbor and they'll go get it.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't had that. And it's nice. Yeah. It's a whole different way of living, really, for me.
Yeah.
I know to some people that might sound really strange, but when you come from a city of people, people want to talk to each other. You could be like in the hall, seeing each other every single day. You might say hello, but that's it. You're not going to anyone's door.
Yeah. No, I agree. Samantha, thank you for joining us today. This was lovely. I don't know where 40-ish minutes went, but it went quick. It's almost like there was a Jedi mind trick, and it was like, this is going to go on forever.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. If you're watching and like us, like this episode, hit the subscribe button. We've got a lot of great guests coming up. We took a little bit of a break just because people were traveling and different things, but we've got still some phenomenal people lined up for the end of season 1. And so join us for that. Otherwise, stay safe out there. Tweet us. If you want to be on the show, email us at uncorkedanduncut.com or send us some questions or feedback or whatever. And if you have any questions for Samantha, let us know. Samantha, where can people find you if they wanted to get a hold of you?
You can tweet me at emaven. You can LinkedIn. I'm always constantly in both of those. That's probably the fastest, easiest way to find me.
All right, cool. Well, Samantha, stay safe. After this is all done, I'll invite you over to cook, or we'll go out to dinner and somebody else can do the damn dishes.
That's true.
I am tired of dishes.
Dishes.
But
if you cook, I'll bake.
There we go. I love that. Kath, thank you so much. My partner in crime. This is so much fun doing this with you. And every time we do this, I'm like, this is fun. So thanks, everybody. And we will see you on the next episode. Everybody stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.